So I was saying, the only reason Beck even talked about the FEMA camps is because so many people were putting pressure on them. Real patriots, real people that want to know about the concentration camps. It's a scary idea, and there's no reason why they wouldn't do it. They've done it before. And Chris Matthews here neglects to mention that Glenn Beck had his token mouthpiece on James Meggs, the super debunker of 9/11, and he brought him on to say we're all conspiracy nuts and that concentration camps don't exist. So he did try to supposedly debunk them with his mouthpiece, James Meggs, which is a fraud. And again, Chris Matthews drops the ball even on that. He can't even report that right.
I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing. You know about them?
Sure.
I'm tired of hearing them. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them.
Rumors like this one, which Beck later distanced himself from.
Skull and crossbones there, Glenn. Real fashionable.
Stoke the new right's fear of federal tyranny. They give a nervous rationale to far-right groups, including a new patriot organization called the Oath Keepers. Its members are military and police officers, both active duty and retired, who swear an oath to defend their view of the Constitution, promising not to obey a list of hypothetical orders from the government. These include imposition of martial law, the basing of foreign troops on U.S. soil, the herding of American citizens into concentration camps.
So there you go. First he called Oath Keepers a patriot organization like it was bad. And it's a organization of it, that's right, enlisted and non-enlisted and officers, basically anyone who swore an oath to the Constitution, to retake their oath for their version of the Constitution. So the three things he brings up is he will not confiscate Americans' weapons, which is unconstitutional. And what's wrong with swearing an oath to that and retaking it? He should retake that oath 50,000 times to never, ever take a person's defense away from them in a free constitutional republic. What was the other one? Oh, they will not obey the orders to make people go to concentration camps. Well, what's wrong with that, Chris Matthews? You got a problem with that too? I forget what else he said, but you know, really go to oathkeepers.org, see what they won't do because they took an oath to not do those things, and they're not hypothetical. There was gun confiscation in Katrina. American citizens were put in concentration camps in this country, Chris Matthews. Why don't you do your research?
Stuart Rhodes, the founder of Oath Keepers and a former U.S. Army paratrooper, was a guest on Hardball in 2009.
And I also think Stuart Rhodes is a constitutional lawyer, too, unlike wannabe Barack, Barry, Soetoro, Obama.
When you put your head on the pillow at night, are you afraid that at some point in your lifetime, the black helicopters from the UN will arrive to the United States and deny Americans?
So here you go. There's buzzwords again, Chris Matthews. Black helicopters from the UN. And then you bring up the UN. They do fly black helicopters around. They were doing it in Denver. You could watch video of it all day long, Chris Matthews. See, I almost called you Glenn Beck because you are one and the same. You guys are all spewing out the same diarrhea out your mouth. So there he goes using buzzwords like black helicopter from the UN. And if helicopters or any kind of military came over, soldiers from the UN, they have no business on our soil, and we do have the right to defend ourselves from United Nations soldiers as a sovereign constitutional republic. God, I hope you watch this, you shithead.
Sovereignty. Do you think that's probable or possible?
I think it's possible. I think where we're concerned about, look at Germany, an advanced civilization, and they fell into a despotism, in a dictatorship, a murderous dictatorship, in a span of 10 years after an economic collapse. It can happen here. You think it can't happen here?
We're going to be live here for the next...
Of course it could happen here. Of course it can happen here.
2 hours.
Before these rumors about government tyranny reach the mainstream, they often start with an extremely popular internet radio host, Alex Jones.
There you go. Extremely popular internet radio host. He's not just on the internet. He's on XM. He's on, I want to say over 100, but at least 50 radio stations, terrestrial radio stations. And he has a podcast. And he has 3 websites. And he shows documents, unlike you, Chris Matthews, unlike Barry.
So we're going to look at the type of tyrants in in the Obama administration, and it's
Jones claims he has 2 million listeners for his internet broadcasts and that millions more watch his YouTube broadcasts.
Go look at the YouTube videos and count the numbers. He doesn't claim, Chris Matthews. Again, you're using the word he claims. If he claims it and you're doing such a truthful documentary, why don't you prove his claim right or wrong by doing your own research? You guys have enough money to search out all these and you would never have to say someone claims. Anyone can go to his videos on YouTube and see that they have millions and millions of hits. And he's got way more viewers than you. I know you love that. I don't hear you mentioning your numbers.
And his dozens of documentaries. He also has several websites full of articles supporting his fears of government oppression and a tyrannical New World Order.
His fears? Again, his tyrannical New World Order. Please go watch the documentary, a real documentary, not like this piece of crap Chris Matthews put out. It's called Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. And just watch clip after clip after clip after clip of politicians, congressmen, all Bushes, Clinton, all calling for a new world order. They're all calling for it. You can listen to him, Chris. Again, if he's just claiming that, why don't you prove the claim right or wrong?
We are just about done. We are fried. I mean, we are in deep tyranny. Deep, deep, deep. We have a psychopathic elite who have formed a global guild of psychopaths. They have their symbols, they have their language, they have their whole communication system. They're in control of the planet, and they're setting up a planetary police state to carry out an orderly extermination of at least 80%. Some say 99. They debate the numbers of us they want to kill.
These tales that come out of Alex Jones's websites.
Here's MSNBC's mouthpiece, liar. Here's the extremist right here, Mark Potok from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I lost my train of thought. All right.
Are stories that identify real enemies, the government, law enforcement. They're a whole...
Oh, yeah, they're not tales, Mark Potok. They're not tales. You can listen to the people say it themselves. I've seen it all. Why don't you do a Google search, you schmuck?
That of evil agents out there. And though I don't expect to see Alex Jones taking a shot at them anytime soon, there are people out there who are...
You don't expect to see Alex Jones taking a shot at anybody because he never said he was going to take a shot at anybody. He never promotes violence. He always says violence is a very, very last resort when nothing else works.
Perfectly willing to do exactly that.
The system, from all their preparations and all their statements, actually wants it to become violent and wants to use that as the excuse to clamp down and have a real police state in America. And that's when the revolution starts. That's when people are just going to go, okay, you stop me at a checkpoint, the government's being abusive, lock and load.
Yes, they see. There we go. There's good editing there, MSNBC. They picked the one time I've been listening to Jones for a few years, and I rarely, ever hear him say anything about firearms. And the one time he says something about firearms, that's the one clip they chose to put on this so truthful documentary. Yeah, right.
Jones is also one of the leading figures in the 9/11 truther movement, claiming the U.S. government, not Al-Qaeda, was...
There he goes again. That's not what we're saying. He did not say the U.S. government. There's people within the government, and it's very possible, and the evidence is about 6 miles high. Why don't you have your team go look into it and show some real evidence on your show instead of this crap and your editing and your spin?
Behind the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. He maintains that he's neither...
Bin Laden isn't even wanted for 9/11. Go to FBI's website. I think it's fbi.gov or org or com. And go to the Bin Laden most wanted picture, and you'll see he's not wanted for 9/11. And the reason being, according to the FBI, is that they have no hard evidence against Osama bin Laden. Go look at their website.
Far right nor far left. Equally contemptuous of both sides of the
I'll be right back. Stay there.